Okay, today's class is on solar combiner boxes. This is the little cabinet you put under your solar array that collects all the wires from the solar panels and may or may not reduce them in number to a combined like 20 wires to 6 or something. But in our case, we're not going to do that. All we want to do is land the wires in here. The second thing these things do is they provide lightning protection through an electronic block that senses high voltage, and that directs all the power to ground through a ground rod. That orange piece you see in this picture is that. Let's see here. We're going to look inside the box a little closer here. Well, I can't point and do this because it takes the pointer to do it. The orange thing sort of in the center of the picture, that's the lightning arrestor. On the right, that's a DC circuit breaker. You're going to go out through the circuit breaker to your inverters. It gives you a switch to turn it off. Alternatively, this can be a rotary knob switch or any other kind of a operating switch. This is just a toggle switch circuit breaker, but you can get various things with locks, without locks. The most common thing is a standard circuit breaker. At the bottom down here, we have fuse holders, and this is power coming in. Left side would be your positives, and right side would be your negatives. And above that, in the corner, the black thing with looks like 4 wires on it and a bus bar across the top. Those are one-way diodes. They prevent you from hooking it up backwards and damaging your inverter. But once it's wired up, they still do something. They prevent drainage from your batteries through your inverters or wherever back through the solar panels to give you like a 3% a day loss of power. So these are individual little blocks. They either have 2 screws if they're a single diode, or they have 3 connections if they're 2 diodes. The 2 diodes, you can use either diode, so you can have one for the positive and one for the negative separate. In any event, these are some of the things that you want in a combiner box. This ad says one piece $88. You'll find that if you contact the people, you only have 1 fuse for positive and 1 for negative, 1 lightning arrestor, and probably a 2-pole circuit breaker instead of a 4-pole circuit breaker. By the time you get into the box that they have shown in the picture, you're at about $160 thereabouts. You'll notice that this one is also a painted stainless steel cabinet, and it's got a poly gasket up here in the lid. Now again, I can't point the pointer and hold the picture on the screen because I've only got 1 mouse. Oh, wait a minute. Let's look at the gasket. Yeah. That's the gasket. It comes out of basically a hose. It's urethane foam. It makes a hard surface. Well, not hard, but smooth. A closed surface. And if we had a picture of it, the bottom drip edge of this lid will often have drain holes for water, for anything that got around the outside of that gasket and ran down to the bottom to prevent rust. But you don't worry about that much with a stainless one. Anyway, by the time you want to collect up Well, in our case, we have 7 strings. 6 strings are 8 panels, in a series, and 1 string of 7. That's 56 total panels for this, and then there's some for the whale. So if you want to not combine them, because what we want to do is we want to put 1 string on an inverter, and actually we're splitting a string to 2 inverters. It'll be the left channel. One of them will be left channels on 2 inverters, and the next string will be the right channels on those same 2 inverters. That way, it minimizes the amps that any one inverter has to dissipate heat from. And also gives you redundancy if one of the converters is on the blink and it turns itself off. You're not losing any power because it's going through the other channel to a different inverter. We'll get onto that when we wire. Okay, let's try. That's not the one. That's not the one. This could be the one. Okay, this is a bigger version. Well, we're going to get where we can look at it. Okay, so you see how I'm going to have to scroll it. Okay, what we're looking at in here is a circuit breaker and a lightning protector. And you've got 14 sets of them. In this case, they're not interconnected. Also, you need a bus bar. That's the thing on the upper left-hand corner of the box. There's another one down at the bottom for the other row. This combiner box has got 14 separate circuits. So we can put 7 of these breakers and lightning protection out under the array. And when we get into the power room, we can have the second set receiving the power and give us lightning protection for the conduit and everything that's exposed to the elements between the array and the power room. So basically, we have 14 separate lightning arrestor circuits and a bus bar to collect all the grounds to run them to ground. Also, on the left of this picture here, now in the center of your screen, rather than use MC4 connectors, this has got they're like compression fittings that you'd have on extension cords on Hubble connectors and stuff like that. EMT plumbing electrical conduit, they're compression fittings. The copper fittings that you put on copper tubing, it's got a ferrule in there, that's a compression fitting. Basically, it mechanically seals out water. Also, there's no connection made inside of this. This is just an entry point into the box. So you haven't got to have MC4 connectors exposed to the weather, and possibilities of corrosion inside the connector on either the top or the bottom. The wire just passes through, and you stick it under the tubular screw connector on the circuit breaker in this case. So it saves a $6 MC4 connector and eliminates having to make it up, and it eliminates water entry. So that's probably a plus. The higher end boxes have that. Now, let's get to price. Over here you see at the top, $265 per piece. So instead of paying $160 for a 2-circuit one, for $260 you get 14 of them. Where we would have had to have 8 combiner boxes at $160 a piece, we have one at $265 a piece. So there's a tremendous savings. Shipping, $396. I know the shipping costs more than the part, and you have to learn how to deal with that if you deal with Alibaba. This is not the shipping we're going to end up paying. I don't think. I ordered these, by the way, so I've got them on the way. They have not been shipped out of China as of today. However, we're going to look at something else about them. Now, obviously, the 14 circuits and this is a galvanized painted box here. Gasketed lid. Also, a nice thing about these is this panel. You can't, if you look on the right hand side between the sidewall and the bottom, you'll see the edge of a piece of sheet metal, and top right corner of that piece of sheet metal is a standoff and a nut. So you've got a welded stud in the bottom of the box, and that's called a back plate. So all the screws and stuff that hold all this stuff down don't penetrate the box to the outside. That's another thing you want to look for in a combiner box, because otherwise all the screws would just be water entry points. However, you notice that this does not have the diodes or the fuse blocks. Now, it will work just like it is. It'll give you lightning protection, and the circuit breaker trips in 3 milliseconds, so it's fair protection. However, we're going to up the game on that a little bit. What we got here? That's not what I was looking for. Okay. MD55A, that it's mounted. It's 55 amp, it's 1600 volt. These specifications are taken off of looking at the pictures close up on all the ads on Alibaba. This is the part they use. There's another part that's got a C, MDC 55A. Nope. Well, there you go. Yeah. I don't know if anybody can make this out. But there's a diode symbol here on the side of this thing. And, of course, the part number and the manufacturer down here at the bottom. And it's got 2 terminals. That's the 2 screws up here at the top. If we had a wire to come up in front of this diode between it and the terminal, and you put a second diode up here and another terminal point, you have 3 screws. That's a rectifier. And the rectifier has the ability to be used 1 diode alone, 2 diodes is a rectifier, or the other diode. So you have a positive, negative, a negative, positive, or a rectifier. So I ordered or I am ordering Torres Zoo. If I can get him to just stick a price on it, all I got to do is get him to do that and pay for it. But this will let us put the diodes in those cabinets. They are 10 pieces for $38. Shipping is $25. And of course, we need 14 pieces. We have to buy 2 of them. So you add that to the $265 for the box. And then we need to find fuses. Let's see here. And it's not there. I think that's... Okay. Fuse holders. These are, I can't see the price right now. We'll get back to that. They're about $1.06 a piece, thereabouts. This is what they call a 30 amp fuse holder. It mounts on a DIN rail. That's this notches in the back here. You see the little finger hanging down. and the other one, it's got a connector where you put a screwdriver in and spread it open with a spring, and that snaps it onto the rail. Or you can just push it onto the rail. You need that little device to get it off. In the end, you've got tubular screw wiring connections. That's a 3-sided box with a top plate, and when you tighten the screw, it smashes the top plate down. So basically, it surrounds wire on all 4 sides. Okay. MDPV, that's the manufacturer's part number. The MD seems to be common. In fact, that whole MDPV seems to be common amongst a bunch of brands. This is a 1,000-volt fuse. You can get 1,500-volt fuses. And you can get 600-volt fuses. 600-volt might be a little tight on some solar arrays because your inverter may be able to run up to 550 volts, and some of them are up to 800-volt now. So you've not got a lot of overhead space if you got a 600-volt rating on your fuse. The 10 by 38, that's millimeters size of the fuse, diameter and length. Do not open under load. It will blow the fuse if you don't turn the circuit breaker off before you open the fuse holder. Now, if the fuse is already blown, the red thing in the center of the window there, that's a LED light. That'll be on if there's no connection through the fuse. It's got a extremely small current draw to ground, and that light will read a voltage enough to turn on the LED. You have these on terminal blocks also. At least I use them in industrial control systems. If I want to know if a limit switch is sending a feedback, I'll have I'll draw a chart up when I draw a schematic, and it's line by line. It shows you which lights should be on at each step of the thing. You usually have to take a cell phone picture of it or movie rather, that you can pause, and you can troubleshoot it line at a time. Virtually anybody can fix it that's got a cell phone that can take a movie. At least it tells you where to look. These fuse holders, and it's not a good example here. There's a lot of specifications and writing all over the side of the thing. See if we can find a different brand. Yeah, okay. This is another possible brand. The advantage to this one is it's a pair. So your positive and negative wires are fused, and they're on the same block. So if you have a string coming in, you can have a pair of fuses for each string, and then a spacer, basically an end block for a DIN rail. You put it between them. That sort of separates them, so you can tell where the two go, which two goes which two. This is a WSPV. In this case, it's a 20 amp breaker. That's a little light, but it's just for picture purposes, and to show you how this mechanism here works. Some of them are really complicated in how they open, but what they all do is they all tilt. The fuse is sort of downhill when it's open, so it doesn't fall out on the floor. But you pull the little lever here, the little tog we see down there, and that pulls the fuse out of the things that conduct the electricity. So you can grab that. It's just a fuse sitting in a plastic box at this point. Some of them have a real articulated, many pieces handle here that you basically can breathe on them and pop the fuses out. I was not able to find a 30 amp dual fuse on Alibaba in one evening, so I went with single fuse holders. So we have fuse holders, diodes, the combiner box, lightning arresters, circuit breaker out, gasketed lid, back panel, so that the screws don't go through the whole thing. Okay, and we know what kind of numbers we're looking for part numbers. That $265 14 circuit box It's available for $180 with 8 circuits. That would be 4 on top, 4 on the bottom. If I wasn't wanting to put lightning protection inside of the powerhouse, 8 circuit would have been fine. It'd been more than I need. But I only need 7 outside and 7 inside, so the 14 circuit one is perfect. No spare parts, you know. Okay, is that all we bought today? And I don't know if it'll sign in or not. Never can tell. Sometimes it runs me around to verify the account.